Controversial Rap Lyrics Part 3. As it's the third part in this little series, I'm assuming you guys already know the rules for lyrics to qualify for this video, so no long intro for this one. We're just gonna jump right into it straight away.
That know me best, I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. Why? I made that bitch famous. Goddamn.
Controversy and Kanye are two words you've probably seen side by side pretty often. And one of his biggest ones, excluding his current controversies in 2022, was when he interrupted Taylor Swift at the 2009 VMAs to basically say, hey look, it's cool that you won the award for best video by a female artist and all that, but personally, I think Beyonce's video was a little bit better. In a sort of like more abrupt way. It was a super awkward moment, but of course, that's just the beginning. Over the years after the incident, Kanye apologized, retracted his apology. There was a lot of drama basically, but then in 2016, he said the line that you just heard from his song Famous from The Life of Pablo in reference to the 2009 VMAs incident with Taylor. And the drama ensued once again. Take a deep breath, boys, because we are about to dive right into this shit. So after the controversy around the line, Kanye said that he didn't diss Taylor, that the word bitch was meant in an endearing way, and that Taylor actually gave Kanye her blessing to say the lyric in the song. Following this, Taylor Swift's spokesperson, which is incredibly difficult for me to say, is something about S's, man. They don't roll off my mouth quite right. Taylor Swift's spokesperson said that Kanye did not in fact call to ask for her approval for the song, but called her to ask her to promote it on her Twitter account, and said that Taylor wasn't aware of the line, I made that bitch famous, but that she also cautioned Kanye against releasing a song with such a misogynistic message. And it doesn't stop there, because then Kim Kardashian came into the fold and seemingly confirmed Mr. Yeezus' claim that he did have Taylor's blessing to say the lyric. And the next day posted videos to her Snapchat story of Kanye talking to Taylor about the song.
For all my Southside niggas that know me best, I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex.
Unlike this close to overexposure.
Oh, well this one is I think this is a really cool thing to have.
I know,
Definitely.
it's like a compliment kind of. Yeah, I mean, go with whatever line you think is better. It's obviously very tongue-in-cheek either way.
Not sketchy at all that this was an edited down version of the conversation. So naturally, that wasn't the end of it, and minutes after the video went out, Taylor responded, saying, where is the video of Kanye telling me he was gonna call me that bitch in the song? It doesn't exist because it never happened. While I wanted to be supportive of Kanye on the phone call, you cannot approve of a song you haven't heard. Clearly, there was a couple different viewpoints on what actually happened regarding the famous lyric, but the final twist in the story came in 2020. Just a couple years back. The full unedited version of the phone call between Kanye West and Taylor Swift leaked online, and it confirmed that Kanye made no mention word for word of the I made that bitch famous line to Taylor. In fact, when Kanye told her that the first half of the line was gonna be I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex, she sounded a little bit relieved on the phone call, essentially saying, that wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. It would be much worse if you called me a bitch or something.
To all my Southside niggas that know me best, I feel like Taylor Swift might owe me sex.
I'm glad it's not mean, though. Oh my god, the build-up you gave it, I thought it was gonna be like, that stupid dumb bitch. But it's not.
And later on the call, when he did bring up the second half of the line in question, he said that the second half of it would be, I made her famous, and not the word that it actually ended up being, which it seems like is what Taylor Swift was actually upset about with this whole thing.
Okay, now what if later in the song, I was also to have said, I made her famous? Is that, did
you say that?
Yes, it might have happened.
So, in the end, from what the public has seen at least, it looks like Kanye never gave Taylor the full context of what the line would end up being, and softened it up a little bit on the phone call to make her more receptive to it. Considering all this sparked from an incident that happened like 13 years ago, and it was still being discussed and new information was being revealed about it 4 years after the lyric was said, I think this one definitely qualifies as controversial.
Dipping up the block and I'm robbing bitches too. Up the herringbone wouldn't give a fuck if you're pregnant. Give me the baby rings and the #1 mom pendant.
A line that was censored on the uncensored version of the album that it came from. Yep. It's right at home on here. Gimme the Loot, as you might have guessed from the title, is all about Biggie and a young companion of his kindly asking other people to hand over their possessions, with a gun pointed at them just in case. It's a pretty impressive song the way it's laid out vocally and lyrically, with Biggie voicing both of these characters as they have a little bit of a back and forth. The whole ordeal ends with them deciding to have a shootout with the cops, but as you heard at the start of this segment, the more controversial part of the song came earlier on, when Biggie talked about robbing women even if they're pregnant. The producer of the track, Easy Mo B, thought it might have been a bit too far in terms of how the public would react to the line, and he warned Diddy, who was the CEO of Biggie's label, Bad Boy Records, that certain groups might boycott the Ready to Die album if Gimme the Loot released on it with no alterations. So by the time it released, they cleaned it up a little bit by simply reversing the word pregnant.
I wouldn't give a fuck if you're in there. Give me the baby rings.
And now on Genius.com, they literally have it written out as Tnangarp. It is interesting though that they decided to leave in the following line talking about Biggie taking her baby rings and her #1 mom pendant, so it's not really any less obvious that he's talking about robbing a pregnant lady. But regardless, it's not all that shocking in my opinion in a storytelling rap track that's about robbing anyone you can to get the loot. In the end, the label just decided to play it safe. Gimme the Loot may not have been controversial for the ending, with Biggie deciding to lob some bullets at the police, but that's okay because we had Ice-T there to cause a bit of a ruckus by doing it a year or two earlier. Now obviously that wasn't a rap song that you heard just there, but Ice-T was most well known as a rapper at the time, so we're gonna include it here just for fun. Cop Killer is a song from Ice-T's heavy metal band Body Count, and it's written from the perspective of someone who's been pushed over the edge by witnessing cops killing innocent people and has decided to retaliate against cops. And surprisingly, some cops weren't too happy about it. Some police organizations planned to boycott Warner Bros., the label that Body Count was on, and the President of the United States at the time, George H.W. Bush, indirectly denounced the track and any record label that would release a song like that with its themes. There was even a store in North Carolina that had to stop selling the album because the local police there said that they would stop responding to their emergency calls if they didn't. The drama went outside America too though, as the police commissioner in New Zealand at the time tried to get an Ice-T concert there cancelled and tried to get the song itself banned as an indecent publication in the country. It was decided that it wouldn't be banned though, so that was cool. However, the shitstorm continued and continued, going as far as death threats being made to Warner Bros. Executives and causing some tensions between Warner Bros. And some of its shareholders, and it eventually ended in Ice-T himself deciding to remove Cop Killer from the Body Count track list and have the album reissued. I even checked on Apple Music and Spotify to see if I could find it now, and nope. Even today, it's just a live version that's on there, but you can't find the actual song. Despite Cop Killer itself not being a rap song, I still thought it was worth discussing here, considering how much, in my opinion, unreasonable outrage it caused in the 90s. How do you want it? First of all, it's an absolute banger, but second of all, it also led to Tupac getting a lawsuit filed against them. You see, the person that he mentioned at the start of that line, C. Dolores Tucker, was a civil rights activist who was hugely critical of gangster rap in the 90s and campaigned against it, specifically saying that it encouraged violence, abuse, and sexism, and perpetuated a cycle of low esteem in African American youth. One of the most notable things that she did in regards to this was purchase stock in Time Warner so that she could protest gangsta rap at their shareholder meetings. It's safe to say she was pretty dedicated to the cause, and the rappers making the music weren't too happy about it. So Tupac said this line in 1996 on How Do You Want It in retaliation, and a year after its release, and after Tupac's death, which also occurred in 96, C. Dolores Tucker sued Tupac's estate for $10 million, alleging intentional infliction of emotional distress, slander, and invasion of privacy. However, this lawsuit would fail even after its rejection was appealed, as Tupac's lyrics were considered as opinion and therefore protected from defamation claims. It is worth noting that while in the end the legal case was dismissed, on the version of How Do You Want It from Tupac's 1998 Greatest Hits CD, C. Dolores Tucker's name is censored. Presumably to play it safe, because I'm pretty sure the legal case was still going on when that album came out.
I ain't said enough to pipe down. I pipe down when the White House is wiped out. When I see that little Cheney dyke get sniped out. Lights out, bitch, adios, good night.
It would be fitting to close it out after that with lyrics from another song that also happens to target C. Dolores Tucker, with Eminem dissing her on here in the most Eminem way possible. I'm going to give you like 3 seconds to guess roughly what you said, and then I'm going to show it up on the screen and we'll see how close you got. However, that wasn't the most controversial line in the song. That came earlier when Eminem rapped about targeting the White House. A nice little callback to Controversial Rap Lyrics Part 1. The story behind this one is that in 2000, Lynn Cheney, the wife of the Vice President of the United States at the time, called out Eminem directly in a Senate hearing, saying that he promotes violence of the most degrading kind against women, specifically bringing up the lyrics to his song Kill You, which, yeah, it's an extremely edgy song, and I still remember the really awkward experience of seeing it performed live at an Eminem concert that I went to with my parents when I was around 14 years old, but I doubt you could find many examples, if any, of real-world harm caused by it. But to be fair, she also claimed in the same speech that it was no coincidence that the Columbine school shooters were fans of Marilyn Manson, which they weren't. That was a sensationalized myth at the time for people to blame it on, like, satanic music. Of course, the only way that Eminem would fire back is with the lyrics that you just heard being pretty much as direct as possible. And while I played you the completely uncut version there, if you listen to the official release of the song, the words Cheney and White House have been cut out of the verse.
When I pipe down, when the wiped out. When I see that little dyke get sniped out.
Eminem, what are you like, you little rascal? Always getting censored on the explicit versions of your songs. This one kind of makes sense though, as anything that could be perceived as a threat against the White House has the potential to lead to a Secret Service investigation, and you probably want to avoid that. In fact, you can click there on the screen right now to check out the first part in this series, where I talk about a time where Eminem nearly did get investigated by them. Much love to the Patreon squad, and a special shout out to my big tippers on there, and those are Big Daddy Foe, Diego Victoriano, Griffin Upchurch, I Am Region, and Ryan Shadow 507.